And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Crusty Old Guy once again. Just as a reminder, friends, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Now is the time, friends, to send in your questions. If you have any questions about the Blackhawks or the NHL or just hockey in general, because these are the dog days right now because we have nothing to do until the draft next month.
What do you mean we have nothing to do?
Well, with our team.
Oh. Well, we're doing as much as our team is then.
That is true.
That
We're
would be
doing
nothing.
a little less golfing than our team is.
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah, guys, I can't golf. Krusty's all about golfing, but I do not do that.
Yes, Krusty isn't the best golfer, but he really does enjoy having a cigar, listening to music, and hitting around a little white ball.
It's about the effort, whether you're good or not.
Yeah, I just don't care. Sorry.
Fair enough. All right, Krusty, let's get into it. We have second round hockey to talk about.
We do?
Yeah. It's gotten spicy. Some things are surprising. Some things are not. I don't think my bracket's going to go well, but that's okay. Right now we have Dallas versus Winnipeg, Edmonton versus Vegas, Toronto versus Florida, and then Carolina versus the Washington Capitals. First off, like I said, I really think my bracket is going to blow up in this round, but that's okay because Miro Heiskanen is set to play tonight, which means the world is healing, and I am one step closer to my dream of Miro Heiskanen going further into the postseason than Mark Stone is.
All righty.
This matchup has been a little lopsided. I think, Dallas is very much on a roll, taking the momentum from beating out Colorado, and they're running with it. Also, Hellebuck is still being postseason Hellebuck. Not nearly as bad, but still not great. There was, I believe, a controversial call, was it last game with the kicking motion for one of the goals? But, Christy, what's your thought on this matchup?
Well, I think it's two evenly matched teams, except if you were to take away Mikko Rantanen. Unfortunately, Mikko Rantanen has been on fire. This is the definition of a heater. So that makes things very difficult for Winnipeg, and we throw in the psychological mess that is Connor Hellebuck, and it doesn't look good for Winnipeg. There's other things being played out in this series too. There is a massive buzz now to the fact that it has to be Ottinger's net next year in the Olympics and not Hellebuck's. So, they're still even a little bit more writing it. I don't think Winnipeg's done. They're a very good team. They're very deep. But if Hellebuck doesn't get his crap together, I don't know how much of a difference Mikko makes the rest of this series. Will he come in and just play 20 minutes and play unbelievably effective? Or, is this going to be a little bit of a nurturing along? As we've talked about at length on this show, the fact that the Harley kid has been playing lights out makes all of this easier. We've got Marchman did not get suspended, I don't believe, correct?
No. We don't do suspension anymore. It's the second round. We just fine them a little bit.
For his little silliness.
At the end of the game.
Hellebuck needs to steal one. Is that tonight or is that tomorrow?
That is tonight.
So he needs to steal this one. It's 2-1. He steals this one. You're all tied up. It's just no big deal. But somehow he's got to
get it together.
He's just got to get it together, and it hasn't happened. There's once a game where he lets something in and you just go. Now, granted, his team is not helping him. There's bad turnovers, there's bad neutral zone play, and then there's an odd man rush out there. But there's at times saves that he needs to make and he's not making them. And there's times where he should be making the save and still is not making them. I just think everything's pointing in Dallas's direction. I don't think it'll make much of a difference with Mikko being back in the lineup. I don't think that gives them the edge that everybody else thinks just because of Harley's play. You can only play one of them at a time. They're both on the same side, if I'm not mistaken. So, granted, yes, you don't have to rely on a third pair, dog. So that'll help a little bit. So Winnipeg has to start to make it uncomfortable for Ottinger. That's the name of the game. The Otter has been playing really well. So, I'm pulling for Winnipeg tonight just because, I'd like to see this stretched out.
Me too. And for my bracket to do well.
But again, it's just, the difference is Rantanen. He's destroying them. It's a massive coming out party, and now DeBoers has figured it out that he's like, I'm going to start double shifting them too. So, tonight they'll go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, and, they'll double shift Mikko in. He's used to playing 26 minutes a night. So it's an unbelievable toy for him to have. I don't think he's ever had anything like that. I get, at the end of the day, there aren't a lot of toys like that. But Mikko has definitely ended the discussion of, is Mikko Rantanen really that good? Or is it that he plays with Nathan MacKinnon?
Yes, as someone who is a part of that, I am so sorry for saying that in the first place. Rantanen, clearly you've been pulling MacKinnon along the entire time. You've been making everybody in Colorado look good. You've been making Cale Makar look good. Clearly, you're the guy. As much as I would love Winnipeg to do well, I would also like this revenge tour to continue and get a Dallas Stars Carolina Hurricanes matchup for the final.
All righty. Okay, is that your segue into the next one? Because that worked out pretty well. If you want to jump over to the
East, can jump over to them.
I think you've got to go with the flow. You're doing great. Good job.
Next up, we got the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Washington Capitals. Currently, Carolina's sitting 3-1 in the series. Bad loss last night for Washington. It's not looking good. I don't want to say that they're completely out because I don't see them. I see them maybe taking one more win. Maybe it goes to that would be like game 6. I don't see them completely crapping the bed for the next one, but I think it's going to be real hard to win 3 in a row for Washington.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this series. I did run across something on Twitter with the little baby in the crib and the Tom Wilson crying face. He looked like an idiot last night. This is a borderline thing, but when you start taunting the fans in a building when you're down 2-1 in the series and you're losing 2-0, it doesn't have really an effect.
No.
I don't think Tom quite understands that. I know Tom is he's been the heart and soul of that club. And, he's making his statement, I believe, in for this round and also the Olympics. That Team Canada better put him on the team because that is your answer to Matthew Tkachuk. But that's a talk for next year.
Speaking of this matchup, though, in the Olympics, they're idiots if Thompson's not considered.
Yes, that would be also correct. The other problem for Washington is the PLD. He does it. He's done it everywhere he's been. He looks such the part. And for most of this year for Washington, he has looked the part. And then he's like a magician. Poof, he's gone. LA went through it, Winnipeg went through it, and now Washington's going through it. I had mentioned this to people this year. I go, if your eggs are in his basket, he teases you that first year. First year's over. Now it's playoff time. He's been a disappointment in the playoffs. So there's that, and there's the fact that Carolina is just, I know some people are calling it very boring hockey.
But boring hockey wins a decent portion of the time. You don't need to be flashy and fantastic. Whatever gets you the win, within reason of not being, Sam Bennett every minute of the game. But whatever gets you the win, do it.
Yeah, it's just they play fast. There's not a lot of playmaking. They come in, they shoot the puck, they run and retrieve the puck right away. It's all about bing bang boom battles. Bing bang boom battles. There's not a lot of big bobbing and weaving. It's not the way they play.
Well, and I feel like too, Carolina within the past couple of years, I feel like people forget that, not really, but some of the time, that Carolina healthy is a very good team. They just haven't been healthy and with their goaltenders firing on at least 80% of their cylinders at the same time in the past couple of years in the postseason. It's been Anderson's out, Svechnikov's out, this, that, and another person is out, and they're not firing on all cylinders, and they're playing a team that's very healthy and playing on their A game. When Carolina is at their full capacity, they're a very good team. We just haven't seen that in a minute because they've gotten very unlucky. I feel like they kind of run through what New Jersey runs through on occasion, where they're not bad whatsoever. They just they're really unlucky.
Yeah, and I think part of that also is just that who you're matching up against. Finally, in this year, they matched up against an inferior New Jersey team. So you're not as depleted, you're not as banged up as you would have been had you played somebody like Tampa,
right,
and then beaten that. It's just that does matter. Also, you've got Roslovic, who played really good the last game, and he was on your bench. Roslovic is probably our number 2 center if he's on our team. So they're deep. Granted, they don't have a superstar. Aho's close. The Svechnikov kid is very close. But when you're right, when they're all clicking, the thing is they can play 4 lines fast, and they can play it for 60 minutes. Because to be on that team, you have to physically keep up with that coach. And that's just not very easy to do. It's like going to the gym with crusty old guy. Yeah, a lot of people think they can, but they can't.
They can't. It's really not fun, guys. I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
20 minutes in and you're dying.
So, they just seem set. I think you made an excellent point. This is probably the healthiest they've been during the playoffs in the last 3 or 4 years. So, and you have Jordan Stahl, who's a phenomenal shutdown centerman. They're big enough. They're fast enough for sure. They're not as skilled as Toronto. Probably not even as skilled as Florida. Probably not even as skilled as Vegas. Definitely not as, but there's enough there to get the job done completely. There's enough scoring. So,
well, and I also think with the Carolina lineup, you have quite a few guys that are on the younger side, but are veteran enough that have gone through the playoffs for the past couple of years that there's the expectation in their head of what they need to do to get the job done. They're all on the younger side, but this is, they've gone into the postseason the last like at least couple of years in a row. So even your younger kids, like your Aho, your Svechnikov, I mean, hell, even Jarvis, like you've done this before. You kind of have an idea of, the difference of expectation between like a high stakes regular season game and what the postseason means in terms of performance.
Yeah, and you just mentioned a name that you forget. Seth Jarvis is an
Seth
unbelievable
Jones
hockey
is
player,
insane. I love him.
and Slavin's one of the best defensively. Just so it'll be interesting. I don't see Washington coming back. As I said, I thought they were a mirage most of the year, and with PLD checking out, and you can't expect the grade 8. I mean, he's 39 years old. This is a grind for him. The McMichael kid has looked good at times and hasn't. So, um, I think Carolina can give either one of the two other teams a run for their money in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I think definitely next week we'll be talking about Carolina against whom.
Speaking of who they'll play against, jumping to the other Eastern Conference matchup, we've got Toronto, we've got Florida. Guys, this one has been very spicy, mainly because all Florida matchups are going to be spicy for their postseason, and two, because you got a couple of thumpers on both sides of this team. Maybe not even your traditional thumpers, but you got a lot of people thumping around. Um, yeah, it's been, I think this is one of, I don't know if Florida's just depleted from playing Tampa in the first round or if something's off, but this is definitely the most I've seen them struggle in a matchup, with the exception of like playing Edmonton in the finals last year.
Oh, definitely up until last game. Um, I don't think it's that much of they've played a lot of hockey. They played a ton of hockey, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. So they looked really good last game. Um, Toronto had that chance to take Game 3, and they didn't. And some of these playoffs just come down to that. When you have that opportunity, you've got to seize it and stomp on their throats. And they didn't in Game 3. Bob was not his best, and that game was theirs for the taking. And they just didn't take it. And then Game 4, Bob just played out of his mind and said, "That's that." I understand that Stolarz is out for Toronto, but um,
Joseph Wall is still a hell of a goaltender.
he played unbelievable in the
Yeah.
last game. So there's not going to be much of that. Is there dirtiness? Yeah, there's dirtiness all around. It's
I was
everywhere.
going to say, what do you think about the Domi hit?
I thought other people made a good comparison where if that's Florida, all we hear about is that's the way Florida plays. But since it's Toronto, we're making a massive deal out of it. And there is some credence to that. If Florida does that kind of stuff, it's, yep, that's big bad Panthers. Somebody else does it, oh, they're dirty. Come on, the hits have been coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody is unscathed in this. So, did I like it? No, the game's over. Could I see, or did we see Matthew Tkachuk doing the same thing? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just figure wipe that away. I did want to bring up before this season, the series started and everything. I was going through lineups and this and that. And it popped into my head. This is how much I jinx everyone. And we'll get this as we get to Rockford in a little bit. But I'm like, when the heck has Patches ever been relevant for a hockey team? I'm sitting there thinking before this series starts, Pacioretty hasn't been relative in like 7 years, 7 or 8. Don't you know it? Probably the the best player on Toronto right now. So again, all Krusty's got to do is think it. Because he's been a nice addition. What happens with Toronto? Yeah, again, now it's back in Toronto. You're back worried again. Everything's tighter. Stolarz is definitely not going to play the rest of this series. So now you've got the kid in there. Is this too much for him? I don't know. I mean, Toronto's at least bigger to handle it. They've got a really good coach. I still am unsure if that'll be enough. Florida looked right back to being Florida in the last game.
Yeah. And speaking of Florida, because with last game when Florida won, there were many reports and many things of how all the Florida fans were chanting USA, USA after the game. Florida fans, we got to sit down real quick and have a heart to heart because we didn't have this during the Four Nations tournament. Your captain is from Finland. Your other star player has dual citizenship with the States and with Canada. Your best defenseman is from Scandinavia, and your goaltender is from Russia. Calm down and sit down.
We don't like to go this route. I don't like to go this route.
We're
I
gonna
understand
go a
what
little bit.
I understand why a lot of shows do, because you get opinions and everybody clicks on no matter what. If it's good, bad,
Yeah.
you get the clicks, you get the hate, and then you get the hate back, and then there's more hate. But it was a 2-zip game last night. Both goals were scored by Canadians. Be smarter. But I hear the same shit's going down in Dallas. So I understand that we just get stupider and stupider, and oh well. My take on it is I don't like this in my game. Go bitch about all of this crap, kneeling, this, that, whatever, painted nails, but keep it on every other sport. Stay the fudge out of mine, please. Yes, does it make you look silly? Sure. What does your captain think? I'm sure he thinks you're a moron. And then my thought process was, oh my God, could you imagine what Brent Seabrook, Jonathan Taves, and Duncan Keith would have thought if that's what I was yelling after victories?
Yeah.
What a slap in their face from me that would have been. Have some respect for your players. Okay? This is the NHL. It's been international competition for the last 20 years since the Russians came here, okay, in the Detroit time. That's just the way it is, okay? You want to chant the USA? Next year will be a big opportunity to chant the USA. You want to chant that USA? You've got World Juniors every year. You have the Canada chicks and the American chicks about killing each other, having at least a 5-game series every year. And you can chant it more then because we kicked their ass. But on this
you can
front,
chant it during Worlds right now while you're watching Frank Nazar and Alex Vlasic.
but the Worlds is just, there's not the best players. So it's just,
but
that's
it's an
just the way.
opportunity too, if you're so thirsty to do it.
But that's just my take. I think it's a terrible lack of respect for your captain. Because he's playing for you guys. He's not playing for the USA. He's playing for the Florida Panthers. He's playing for that crest. Okay, and he's gotten the shit kicked out of him a lot for the crest. Support your crest. Okay? I understand that we want to have a love affair with our country. I do. I love this country. It just doesn't need to be there. Especially in hockey, we give you so many avenues to have that meaningful. Ask Duncan Keith. Ask Patrick Kane. Ask Jeremy Roenick, which we did. Yes, the international competition has always been huge, but that's the international competition. I don't think they'll be smarter. I understand there's a lot of stuff going on and there was booing about stuff. I understand that. All I can say is I went to Montreal, I went to Ottawa. They treated me with complete respect, and there was unbelievableness for the anthem, so much that it tugged on my heartstrings, at least in Montreal, that there was this couple. We all know what this is about, okay? But have some respect for your other players. That's all. There. Now you had me going a friggin' rant after I told you I wasn't.
Yeah. I know how to get it out of you.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy.
Final matchup we have is the Hockey Princess hate matchup, because I really don't like either of these teams. You got the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. You have Corey Perry versus Mark Stone, and I hate all of it. And somehow this is the series I've seen the most on different bar TVs this past week. It's been exciting. It's been kind of boring on Vegas's end. I'm a little surprised with their performance. I don't think Edmonton has dominated, but it definitely seems like Vegas is struggling a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, they were lucky to win Game 3 with 0.4 seconds, showing everybody that you always need to play to the final whistle until the horn sounds. And if you watch the replays, yes, that would be you, Connor McDavid. Draisaitl put it in the net. That was pretty funny. Edmonton's definitely been the better team. Vegas has come on in spurts.
But not enough.
I think Edmonton's coach has really pushed all the right buttons. I'm not a fan of putting McDavid and Draisaitl together. I still to this day can't understand why they can't drive their own lines, but obviously they can't, and it's worked really well. And it's worked really well because Corey Perry's been Corey Perry and has not played bad. As much as I hate the man, he has not played man. As much as I hate the other man, Evander Kane's played really well. Okay, you have Janmark, who is a perfect third or fourth line forward. He kills penalties really well, and he's gonna get you a dirty goal here and there.
We love Janmark.
Bouchard has played really, really well. Darnell Nurse, they were ready to kill him. They're not ready to kill him anymore.
Yeah, give him a minute. Edmonton's pretty hot and cold with that one.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, Vegas just isn't good enough. The only other thing I'm noticing is Eichel shoot the puck too. I know it'll seem selfish that you have to do it all, but I think
But
you're almost at the point where you need to do it all. Every time I watch him, I come away amazed. He is a phenomenal hockey player. I love everything he does. I know he got smoked on by McDavid in the overtime goal and everything, but it happens occasionally. Like he's the first person to be smoked by McDavid. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, they don't have enough. Last night it got real chippy. Aiden Hill was hitting people left and right, and Edmonton was making sure anytime it could look like it wasn't their fault, they were giving him another nudge. Hill's been through this, so I expect him to be ready for the next game. But it's 3-1. You're back in Vegas, right? Is that correct?
I think so.
And I still don't know if I can't imagine them that Vegas wins both of the next two. I think that's that. But again, they're another team. They're not as bad as Toronto, because when Toronto does it, all of a sudden everything goes away. When Edmonton does it, there's still that McDavid guy who decides, okay, all you go back here, I'll carry all of you, okay, for the next 10 minutes. And Draisaitl, we had talked on a show about what a power forward is. Go watch Leon Draisaitl. That's a power forward. Watch how nobody can take the puck from him. He's phenomenal at. So I think Edmonton's too much for him. And with that, you know what's going to happen.
What?
I'm sure Vegas wins the next 3. Because I can't do anything right.
It's okay. Neither can I. It's fine. Other NHL news. We've got like we said, we got the Worlds going on. You got Frank the Tank. You've got Vlasic. You've got Lucas Reichel was playing, but Lucas Reichel got hurt today, so who knows if he will continue. You've got Teuvo Teravainen playing for Finland. All good things. The NHL quarter century team came out, and the Blackhawks got snubbed big time, and everybody was in an uproar, me included, because what the hell, NHL? You're excluding my captain, first and foremost, and you're excluding the man that gave us the final cup in 2015, Mr. Duncan Keith. Bad on you, NHL. Bad on you, Gary Bettman, or whoever made those decisions. Big L in that department.
I did not look at that. I think we could do a show on it if you would like sometime in our doldrums after the playoffs are over. What did they have? Like 3 centermen? I didn't even see the team. I haven't looked at it.
I just saw that Johnny and Dunk got snubbed, and I was like, this is some major BS, friend.
Right, because I don't know who snubbed Duncan. I mean, I understand that Crosby's there.
Yeah,
and
no shit.
McDavid's there.
No shit.
So I can understand, but I need to know who's a better defenseman.
No
I
one.
mean, I'm sorry. The man changed the game almost with his attack mode, and he was the best player on the ice for either team for about 6 years. I don't see, and I'm a huge a Makar fan, but I don't see him being on a team before Duncan. Not it's not even close. So that one I don't understand. And you're talking about a guy who was almost playing about half the game.
Yeah.
But again, maybe we can go over that at another time because I haven't looked at it. Once I saw that Duncan didn't, I was just like, well, I'll sit down and look at this at some point in time. But that's why these lists come out so we can stir buzz and.
Yeah, should be interesting. Other NHL news, we talked about it a little bit back when Krusty and I did our head coach predictions and kind of what we expected. But the Anaheim Ducks officially have their head coach. Joel Quenneville is back in the NHL, guys. Whether you'll like it or not, he is returning. He's got that good, friendly tie to Pat Verbeek and got a job. He's back. He was basically made immediately available to the media, spoke with the media about his return. And I'm talking to some individuals like myself who aren't the biggest fan of this decision. It says that, he understands why people are skeptical and that he plans to do better in the future. I don't know if I entirely believe it, but wouldn't be the first man in the NHL to just spew a bunch of stuff. So it happens, whether you want it or not. Q is back. The UC is going to get real, real loud for that first Chicago-Anaheim matchup. The only thing that I will like about that is going to sting to the tiny man that is Katie. And regardless of the situation, I'm here for anything that makes him realize that the dynasty is not something to be forgotten, no matter how many pieces you trade away.
Yeah, me and you have different opinions about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad Q is back. I think it's good for the game. He is a spectacular coach. He is an unbelievable button pusher. He is famous for pushing buttons in Game 5 by sitting people. And usually they've always came back in Game 6 and been a difference maker. It's good for the game. If you're Trevor Zegras, I think you might be a little worried what this is all going to look like. Because, that's the type of coach that I want somebody on our end that ain't taking any shit no more. You have a system. You're supposed to be somewhere. I expect X, Y, and Z. You better do it. I know there's people out in Anaheim that said that's it. They're done. They won't be fans. That's whatever. I'm open for anybody having their opinion on that, as long as you've done your homework on it. And the homework is basically, there's 28, 29 pages of stuff, which Krusty read the whole friggin' Jenner and Block report. And even that report is somewhat irrelevant because that was spun to make Rocky and other people hopefully not look as bad as they could have. Nothing was under oath. So without getting into it too much, I'm glad he's back. I understand if people have a problem with it. That's something that won't happen on this show. That happens between me and you. We do talk about, but I'm not putting that stuff out on the air. It's touchy stuff. I'm glad he's back. I think it'll be great for Anaheim. He's got 3 really good centermen to start playing. So it'll be interesting. And he's got some crazy, as we keep on saying, he got some crazy thumpers on the back end. So good for him. Did we have another hiring too?
I don't think so, because we talked about Sullivan last week.
Yeah, and Tocchet still has not officially made a decision.
Signed with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right. But I'm figuring that is going to happen. I think Tocchet you are going to have to give him years. He wants to be wherever he goes. If it's Philadelphia, he wants control for 5 years. So, and that's always a touchy subject for a team that's not very good, to give somebody that kind of runway. So we'll see exactly where he ends up. And as far as us,
hey, guys, the Hershey Bears are moving on to the next round. So that just means that Kyle can't make the call yet and nothing can come out officially because Hershey's still playing. It's fine. We're going to be fine. I have to feed myself this delusion every day that I go on Twitter when I read another article that Anders Sorensen is probably going to be our next head coach. I just have to feed my delusion that there's enough teams in the AHL and enough assistant coaches that still have their job, and that's why we haven't heard anything.
That's what I mean. I am hoping completely. I'm a broken record. I need an accountable coach. As you kind of alluded to with Q coming back, the 100-year celebration and everything else, whether Kyle believes it or not, it's a very important year because most of the young fans that I see coming to the United Center are about ready to turn. They've watched 2 years of really bad hockey. I've watched the 2 worst years of hockey I've ever witnessed.
Oh, come on. Dark Ages were worse.
They were not. No, this has been the worst hockey I have ever witnessed. Especially the year before was the worst hockey for a year that I've ever seen in my life. At least with the ABC line and everything, people at least went balls out most of the time. They just had no talent. I haven't seen balls out from the Blackhawks again since the captain left. Looking back, you're going to be looking back on that dynasty team a little bit, and these younger fans, there's instant gratification. And they're like, hey, we've got all these young players. We better be good. So you better start to build something that's competitive next year. or else when those boo birds start raining, that's on you. You're seventh in attendance just because they're buying this drain, but I don't think they'll buy it completely next year. So you better tweak some things, and you better bring in a coach who can get things done. If it's swords, and
True that. Once Hershey's done, we'll have a coach.
yes,
Going into our kiddos.
yeah.
Guys, Rockford's out of the postseason, and it's all Krusty's fault because he went to a game. No. So Rockford won 2, and then they lost 3 in a row, unfortunately. I think the biggest takeaway, the most surprising one that I heard during exit interviews is that Drew Camasso said in his exit interview
Yeah.
that he hasn't felt 100% in the past 2.5 months. Oh my God. We're going to have the next Bob once he gets to his 100%. If this is your not 100%, kid, you will be playing lights out in this postseason. Drew Camasso got us out of the play-in round and into the first round. He was standing on his head. I'm a little worried if I'm Spencer Knight once Drew Camasso gets to his 100%. And that makes me very excited. Other bigger takeaways, and I'll let Krusty share his thoughts in a minute, is especially during the last game, gosh dang it, Kevin Korchinski needs more time in Rockford. I hate to say it because I hate to continually harp on the kid, but he needs more time in Rockford, and Artie needs more time in Rockford. And gosh darn it, you need a defensive coach down in Rockford. I need the most experienced man in hockey coaching those 2 kids. With Artie, I have a little bit of forgiveness just because he is newer, but somebody's got to beat these bad habits out of Kevin because you saw it highlighted against Milwaukee, especially in the last game. I think Savvy's played great. Krusty has told me multiple times that I maybe give the kid a little too much credit, and then he played amazing in this first round. So I'm giving credit where credit's due. I think Gavin's been playing a lot better. I think, yes, this was a wasted year. However, I think there's been some individual progress from like October to now. Maybe not as like a team basis, but you had a lot of, guys leaving, guys getting hurt at one point. Between guys getting sent up and guys on the injured reserve, we had half of the Indy Fuel team on our roster in Rockford. I think it was a wacky year, so I don't want to look at it from a team's sake, but looking at, how did Drew play in October to how is he playing now? How was Kevin playing in October to now? Same with Savvy, same with Gavin, same with Ledwinski.
Yeah, there's a lot there to unpack. Number one, I would have liked to have NASCAR and Slaggert in the playoffs on that team.
When Slackard even said in an interview that he wanted to, but they didn't put him on the paper transaction.
Yeah, I don't know why that wasn't done. I don't know why Kyle is so scared of all of a sudden, or maybe he's just worried that if we have a little success, there'll be expectations, and this way we don't have expectations. I don't know what it is. I've gone over my problems with Core. I try not to harp on it too much. From what you told me of the last game, it's Core's Core. It's if they're able to move him and get a good piece, that would be my suggestion.
I'm
Just
for
because
that,
of
but
the drafting of Artie.
but don't move him if it's not good.
No.
I wouldn't say move him just for the sake of moving him, because I don't think Korchinski's in the position where you're like, oh yeah, we got to get rid of this guy. I think if it's a good, similar to Donato at the trade deadline, if there is something that is appealing for the future or for something right now that comes across Kyle's desk, as much as it's going to anger the masses, I wouldn't hate it, especially with Artie and especially with where I see Rinzel being at. I know that you're going to say the last couple of games don't count, but as someone who went to Minnesota and watched him, I think he's starting out at a different potential level than when Kevin did. And so I don't know if he's as vital as we once thought. So if there's an appealing trade, yes, go for it.
Yeah, and what I mean by appealing trade is somebody like a Matthew Wood, somebody who's knocking on the door to make the NHL lineup next year, and you're pretty sure you're positive he's a middle six piece. Anything less than that, I mean, I can throw in draft picks too, but anything less than that, then you keep core.
Yeah.
Because we're still, my worry is that he's never going to be able to play NHL defense at a high level, and especially come playoff time. As I've said through the beginning of this, I hope to gosh I'm wrong. I do believe Artie will. I believe Artie just needs to be coached. And I think that could be done at the NHL level also. I thoroughly believe it's a big summer for Artie, and he better have his nice packet.
Well, did you?
Yes, I did love the
video?
Yes, I watched the video, and that's another reason why I love the guy. But I don't get into the
I can't sleep
propaganda
without
stuff.
hockey. I think he's going to make himself his own packet.
Well, I don't want him making his own packet, because his own packet is I go take care of everything. And no, that's not in the packet. Okay. The packet is okay. In this situation, I want you backing off. In this situation, I want you attacking. Video is going to be huge. The more and more I hear about everything, if I have to keep any stench, I move Sorensen to the head of development and let him take over that. That I would be fine. If you're that worried that you need to not, kick this guy to the curb, then give him that. But Artie, I don't see how you bring him down to the AHL again for a year. But I think this summer is when you start to teach, and camp is going to be huge of what you want from him. There needs to be a lot of one-on-one coaching with him. I'm a firm believer this is the NHL. It is not a development league. Okay, so this whole thing of we need a coach who can develop young talent. No. Okay, do you want to know how young was Patrick Kane when Q was developing? And Q, I've heard, it doesn't develop anybody, well, except for Andrew Shaw, Brandon Saad, Alex DeBrincat. Oh, okay.
Teuvo Teravainen.
I mean, so no, all coaches can do that. At the NHL level, you're expected to do stuff. And after it's pointed out a couple times in your system and you're still not doing it, you don't get rewarded. And that means you don't get ice time. And if that's the case and Artie midseason still doesn't get it, then you send him down. Yes, slap in the face. Good. Whatever he needs to do to motivate him. But that's the one part. I don't believe anybody sat down with him yet. I think they've just let him go willy-nilly. Getting back to your other guy.
Which one? I mentioned a couple.
And I always try to bring you down a notch about the Savoie.
Because that shit's entertaining.
I did go to the game, and without a doubt, he needs to be in the lineup come game one. He is a vital piece of what this team is missing. He's got attitude. He's going to bring you into the fight. Whether the rest of the team wants to be in it or not, he has to come. I've tried to temper you. But
No,
then again, watching him live again,
get on the Savvy train. We are at the Savvy station, ready to go.
and just remember, he's not going to be up here to carry a team or to be an offensive dynamo, but he's got that other thing that the Blackhawks team is so lacking. I mean, NASCAR's given us a little taste of it, and everybody went nuts over it. That's nothing compared to what Sammy does. So he needs to be on the roster just for that simple fact. Is he's going to bring them into the fight, and this team needs to be brought into the fight. They need to understand that. Well, yeah, this guy's bringing us in. Our we don't care attitude. Teams are just really coming after us because of this idiot. Yeah, that's what we need. So I'm hopeful that he makes the team right off of, give him third line, give him fourth line. He's very good in the penalty kill. So, yeah, I'm on board. I want him. I think he'll be a vital part of what next year needs to be, which is the start of a culture change. Drew, Drew was Drew. He looked really good. EDM is EDM. He's solid. He might never be anything more than a third pair defenseman,
But
maybe
he's
occasionally.
consistent.
But
You know what to expect.
yeah, but he's gonna be he's gonna he's somebody who should be on your NHL roster. The rest of them they're all just I was not impressed. I'm not impressed by Hayes yet. I'm not really impressed by anybody else. But Savoie needs to be up, and we'll see what. And I gave them the kiss of death when I said, they look like they might be turning a corner, and they didn't win a game since then. So.
One more thing about the roster we've talked about, we've got a lot of kids coming. I believe Thompson is staying, but there'll be more kiddos coming next year. We'll get Misiak, we'll get Spellacy, Spellacy it wouldn't count. We're getting people.
Aren't we getting Lardas?
I think we're getting Lardas. Yeah, but part of me still assumes that Lardas is going to make it on the big boy roster. Not necessarily if it's warranted, but I think it just may happen. That way Kyle can be, look at this, ignore this, but look at this. Where was I going with that? But there are a couple of vets that I wouldn't be surprised if they stay, and one that consistently impressed me through the end of the season as well as the postseason. And I kind of gave him grief earlier about how I didn't want to see him on the roster. Zach Sanford should stay for the point production, for what he brings to the team and the ability to gel with the younger kids. And just if you're bringing Savvy up, someone's got to bring Rockford into the fight. And so I really think Sanford should stay in Rockford.
Yeah, he's a full-time AHLer, so he can kind of dictate where he wants to go if you keep him there. I like the Cini kid too, for that simple fact.
Well, that's your captain. He's not going anywhere.
The gut punch was just a disappointment this year. So I don't care if he goes, but those two, yeah, definitely. And then there'll be more kids again. It'll be
Would you think that the Joey stays?
I think the Joey might stay. I think for like Joey, for like Stanford, they're going to decide, where do I want to be the next 3 years? Where do I want to live? They're going to be able to sign with anybody's AHL team. So, Joey's been very good for the team. You'd like him to, but he might want to go someplace else, closer out
Warmer.
east. Exactly. So, those kind of players kind of dictate where they kind of want to go. They're not getting a huge payday, but they're getting a little one. And I still would like from somebody, what happened to AA? I haven't heard a thing. I just wish somebody would please tell me what happened to Andres Athanasiou.
We don't know. It's one of the bigger
So,
mysteries.
but you'll be having a lot more younger kids there in Rockford next year, so it's another important time for that place.
All right. Man, I feel like we don't really have anything on the big club because we've kind of been talking the big club intermittently throughout the episode. But Krusty, do you have any thoughts or feelings about the big club this week?
No, I've got thoughts and feelings on people, though. Can I bring those out?
Sure. As long as you don't go on a 15-minute rant.
I won't go on a 15-minute rant, but when you're in the preliminaries at the Worlds, and Lucas Reichel is beating up on Hungary, don't make that anything than it needs to be. That
Don't tell our fans that they can't be excited about things. We're no
I'm going to
better than
tell our
anybody
fans
else.
to not be excited about what happens in a preliminary round against Hungary. I'm going to tell you that. You've watched the kid play enough. Also, the same thing with Frank Nazar. This is what it is, okay? I love Frank, so he's going to be a good piece, but I understand we're starving for little wins, but okay, I'm wrong. If you guys want to do that, go ahead.
Yeah, don't
So
listen to
I'm sorry.
Krusty. You
Yeah,
get excited.
yeah, you get excited just because he's old and crusty. Don't let him bring you down. You're right.
Exactly. All right. To our last part of the show, Krusty's favorite part.
It's my favorite part.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh,
We've got our weekly Blackhawk lore. So last week we talked about our friend Dale Talon, and I feel like
yes. Someday he'll be friend of the show. Someday,
one
Dale.
of the biggest things when I think of Dale Talon or what Dale did in terms of, with the Chicago Blackhawks is the Marian Hossa acquisition from the Detroit Red Wings. I feel like that signing was big in itself, but also, 15 or plus years now, as we're going through our next rebuild, everybody kind of compares, oh, we need Marner, we need Nyes, we need somebody, we need the Marian Hossa piece. And it's still referred to with this rebuild. So, Christy, run us through the Marian Hossa. Happy Marian Hossa Day.
We can run you through the whole Marian Hossa thing. First off, Hossa was drafted by the Ottawa Senators, played with them for a while, played well. Also, I believe his first and second year he played with a Martin Havlat. Played really well. Already started to have some injuries. He had some shoulder issues and stuff like this. I ran out of paper, else I would have had the whole Wikipedia thing here waiting for me, but it only printed a page. And then I went in my woman's office and couldn't find any printing paper. So I'm trying to do this off the memory, and that's difficult. Okay, so I went to the Ottawa Senators. Then he held out for the first 2 weeks after his entry level contract. And then Ottawa signed him again for, I believe, another 2 years. One of the years he was kind of injured, and once he came in, he lit it up, and the following year he lit it up. So now he's kind of stuck there. He signs another contract with Ottawa, and 2 days later, Ottawa trades him to Atlanta. And I believe this is when Marian Hossa decided, I have loyalty to no one but Marian Hossa. He went to Atlanta and lit it up. Could not come to contract terms with them either, so they traded him to Pittsburgh for Pittsburgh's Cup run. And this is when the lore of Marian Hossa starts. He ended up losing to the finals to Detroit. He had a at least a 3-year offer at $7 million from Pittsburgh that he turned down. I believe back then he had a offer from Edmonton for at least 9 and turned down. He went to Detroit to chase the cup also, who had just beaten Pittsburgh and ended up losing to Pittsburgh. But right before they lost to Pittsburgh, they ran into a young, upstart Blackhawk team. So this is where some of my lore starts. At the, I believe it was game 4 in the United Center. Me and Hockey Princess were in our seats, and my woman, along with one of my nephews, had seats way behind the net. But there was 2 people from Detroit next to them. So in between periods, I went over there, taught them the Detroit handshake, and also told them flat out, I go, I hope you're enjoying watching Hossa, because next year he will be a Blackhawk. And Krusty was completely right on that. So with Marian Hossa, there was a bickering of, can they re-sign Martin Havlat and Marian Hossa?
No.
And it was decided they couldn't do both. Marian Hossa Havlat had just gotten knocked out the last playoff game against Detroit. My woman thought he was dead. He laid on the ice for a while. So they ended up, Dale went with Marian Hossa, and this is right when Dale's being pushed out. As we got the news, I was at a dance competition in the Wisconsin Dells, and me and the whole family drove up and down the main strip of the Dells, screaming out of the window, all 4 of us, Happy Marian Hossa Day.
Happy Marian Hossa Day.
And that's when it all started. We're not going to get a guy like that again. It was a once in a lifetime team. There was plenty of talk of cap manipulation, which there was. I mean, his contract had him playing till 42. They knew that wasn't going to happen. It was all very front loaded, which you are not allowed to do anymore. But he was that other piece. He was an unbelievable defensive forward. He was the power forward that we always talk about. You can't get him off the puck. He taught Patrick Kane how to play defense. You're not the biggest, but you can do this, you can do that. He was the firm believer in everybody can back check. Was he the fastest? I'm unsure. I've always been told about his speed, but his puck possession has always.
He needed to be the fastest.
I thought Sharp was faster, but that's when it. And once he came, his leadership again through just the way he played. Attention to detail. Attention to detail is what makes you a champion in this league. And Marian Hossa was able to present that to them. And then it just took off. You know, he's another one of those guys where, you know, as I tell everybody, don't get ever too behind a sports figure. But he seems like a great man. And that was it. You know, 3 cups later, he's, you know, all of a sudden has his number hanging from the rafters. And it wasn't his number of choice, because unfortunately his number of choice was already hanging from the rafters. He went to 81 because 18 was already gone. It worked out very good for Marian Hossa. We all know how it worked out for the Blackhawks. And yes, any board I'm on, any time people are talking right now, they all mention that one thing. Well, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and then get that Marian Hossa.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get that Marian. I think that was a once in a lifetime thing where the stars just aligned.
I also feel like there's too many question marks right now to get that Marion Hossa pick. It seemed, and granted, my memory is very skewed because I was like 10 or 11 when Marion Hossa was signed with the Blackhawks. But it seemed like there was more of a vision and like an expectation with different players that are on the roster. This guy does this. This guy does this. And Dale was able to go out and find a guy that fit with that. And I feel like there's too many I don't knows right now to get that Marion Hossa pick that's going to fit with this team because we just don't know. We don't know if Connor Bedard's going to be a centerman. We don't know if Frank Nazar is going to be a centerman. We don't know where Oliver Moore fits in the roster. We don't know a lot of things. Granted, we'll probably never get the Marion Hossa pick again because, like you said, that was once in a lifetime. But it seems like if you're really trying to like duplicate it, there's too many things that we just don't know right now to go out and get that person.
Right. And the other part of that is if you're looking to duplicate it somewhat, well then you have to duplicate the whole thing. So where's your Campbell? Where's your Cristobal Huet? Where are veterans that you are overpaying and you know you're overpaying, but you're bringing them in? You still have to go through the bringing them in to make this team better, to actually make other people want to come here.
I know where they are. I know where they are.
Where are they?
They're playing 30 minutes a game for the Florida Panthers.
Well, yeah, he would have been one, but all we're going to do is get hate mail on that. So, and that's my other thing. I will say this right now, but the Kyle Davidson experiment will be completely a bust if Seth Jones has more Stanley Cups than Connor Bedard. Okay? I don't care where Seth went, but if he's got more cups than them, that's a fail. But Hossa was just an incredible player. You loved watching him. There's just like players like him and Jonathan Taves who played like all over the place are what everybody gravitates to. But you need all pieces, just like they're going through some of the beginning of the dynasty years and everything, and I always forget exactly how dominating Patrick Kane was. I mean, just dominating. And I don't want to turn this into a tiny Patrick Kane thing, but you need to
But
understand
we can.
Marion Hossa played with Jonathan Taves. After Kane's first couple years, he ran a second line with the other spare parts. And that second line was unbelievable. Just because again, like Duncan, for a 6-year period, he was just that dynamite, just that fat. It was everything. So we got a lot more pieces still to get. And I guess that's why I get frustrated, because it's probably another 3 years. And I don't know if Krusty's got it in him.
We know you do.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
But that's your Marion Hossa lore.
Marion Hossa Lore.
Now, please give us questions.
Please give us questions so we have more things to talk about. All right, guys, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you have any questions during these dark days of summer for us, please send them in. We love answering questions, and it gives us something different to talk about. That is all, and we will talk to you guys next week.